So this is a story about Jack. Now you've probably heard about Jack before. Jack and the Beanstalk is the most common one. But there are hundreds of stories about Jack, and this is one of them. Now Jack was born lazy. He was so lazy that when his mama asked him to go into the barn to get a chicken for dinner, he came back with some eggs instead, because they were much easier to catch than a chicken. Jack was so lazy that those shorts that he was wearing used to be pants, but he was too lazy to change them over the years. Jack was so lazy he couldn't even be bothered catching a cold. Jack was so lazy that they called him Lazy Jack. But as Jack became a young man, he had to agree with his mama that it was time for him to go out and earn his keep. So the next morning, Jack woke up bright and early and went on down the road looking for work. And he did find work. Found work helping a farmer pulling weeds for the day. And for his troubles, he got himself a nice silver coin. Now, Jack had never worked a day in his life. He had never earned any money before. And that silver coin, well, it was shining off of the sun, and it felt so good in his hand, nice and heavy. And he started throwing that thing up and catching it, and throwing it up and catching it, throwing it up and catching it. And everything was just fine until he crossed the bridge going over the stream. And when he threw that coin up, it went plunk right into the stream. Well, Jack ran off of that bridge down the bank of that stream, and he saw it right there in the water. But just as he was reaching for it, a fish came along and ate that coin. Well, when he got home, his mama said to him, "Jack, did you find work today?" "Yeah, Mama, I found work, and I got a silver coin for it." "Well, that's wonderful, Jack. Well, what'd you do with that coin?" "Oh, Mama, I was playing catch with it the whole way home, and it fell into the stream, and a fish ate it." And his mama looked at him and said, "Jack, oh Jack, I love you so, but there's so many things that you need to know. Now listen well to what I say. Tomorrow will bring a brand new day." "Jack, that's not how you carry a coin. You put it in your pocket so you don't get lost." "Okay, Mama, I'll remember that next time." So the next morning, Jack woke up bright and early, and he went on down the road, guess what? Looking for work. And he did find work. He found work helping a farmer milking cows all day. And you can probably guess what he got for his troubles. He got 2 cans of milk. And he thought about what his mama told him to do with what he got next. And he thought he heard a voice that was talking to him saying, "No, Jack, not that." Somebody talk to me? Guess not. Now he thought about pouring that milk into his pockets of his coat, but he thought better of that. And so instead, he put each can, one in each pocket of his coat, and he headed on down the road. Now, as you can imagine, that milk started to splish and splash and splosh all over the place until by the time he got home, he felt like he was wearing a wet diaper, and there wasn't even enough milk to feed his cat some. And when his mama heard what had happened, she said, "Jack, oh Jack, I love you so, but there's so many things that you need to know. Now listen well to what I say. Tomorrow will bring a brand new day." "Jack, that's not how you carry milk. You put it on your head and you hold it real tight so it doesn't spill." "Okay, Mama, I'll remember that for next time." So the next morning, Jack woke up bright and early and, you may have guessed, went on down the road looking for work. And he did find work. He found work helping a baker make bread all day. Now you may think that he got bread for all of his troubles, but he didn't. He got a nice chunk of butter. And he was so happy because he knew his mama was going to make some really good pastries with that butter. And he remembered what his mama told him to do with it. And he heard a voice that he thought was talking to him saying, "No, Jack, not that." Somebody talking to me? Guess not. And so he put that butter on his head, and he held it real tight like his mama told him to do. Well, it was a hot day out and the sun was shining down, and you may have guessed that butter started to melt all in his hair. It was like he had butter shampoo. It started melting down his shirt, down his back. It got into every hole in his head, into his ears, into his eyes, into his mouth, into his nose, forming butter boogers, and it was really gross. And by the time he got home, he didn't even have enough butter to butter a piece of bread with. When his mama heard what had happened, she said, "Jack, oh Jack, I love you so, but there's so many things that you need to know. Just listen well to what I say. Tomorrow will bring a brand new day." "Jack, that's not how you carry butter. You wrap it in leaves and you cool it in the stream so it won't melt first, and then hold it tight in your hands." "Okay, Mama, I'll remember that next time." So the next day, Jack woke up bright and early, went on down the road looking for work. And he did find work. He found work helping a farmer clean out his barn. And for his troubles, he got a barn cat. Now, he remembered what his mama told him to do. And he thought he heard a voice that he thought might be talking to him, saying, "No, Jack, not that." Somebody talking to me? Guess not. And so he took some leaves and he tried to wrap that cat in it. And, well, you probably know that cats do not like being in water much, but he didn't know that. And so he put that cat into the stream. And of course, that cat started meow, meow, started scratching Jack. Jack had blood all over his arms, all over his chest, until finally he had no choice but to let that cat go. When his mama heard what had happened, she said, "Jack, oh Jack, I love you so, but there's so many things that you need to know. Just listen well to what I say. Tomorrow will bring a brand new day." "Jack, that's not how you carry a cat. You tie a rope around it and you gently pull it behind you." "Okay, Mama, I'll remember that next time." So the next morning, Jack woke up bright and early and headed on down the road looking for work. And he did find work. He found work helping a butcher cut meat all day. And for his troubles, he got a nice chunk of meat with a bone in it. He was thinking about the stew that his mama was going to make with it. He knew his mama was going to be happy with him this time. And he thought about what his mama told him to do with it. And he heard a voice that he thought was talking to him, saying, "No, Jack, not that." Somebody talking to me? Guess not. And so he found a rope and he tied a rope around that chunk of meat and he started dragging it behind him. It was bumping all over the place with dirt and rocks and everything getting in it. But Jack didn't worry about that. He was thinking about how delicious that roast was going to taste when his mama made it for him. He was just thinking about that. You know who else was thinking about how good it would taste? The dogs in the villages as he went on home. And soon one dog came on, took a nice chunk of that meat, and another one came out, took another chunk, and another, until there wasn't even enough meat by the time he got home to make a hamburger with. When his mama heard the story, she said, "Jack, oh Jack, I love you so, but there's so many things that you need to know. Just listen well to what I say. Tomorrow will bring a brand new day." "Jack, that's not how you carry meat. You're supposed to wrap it in leaves and put it on your shoulder so that it doesn't get dirty." "Okay, Mama, I'll remember that next time." So the next morning, Jack got up bright and early, went on down the road looking for work. And he did find work. He found work helping a farmer take care of his animals for the day. Well, Jack must have worked really hard that day because for his troubles, he got a donkey. Jack thought about what his mama had to say, and he thought he heard a voice saying, "No, Jack, not that." Somebody talking to me? I guess not. And so he tried to do what his mama told him to do. He tried lifting that donkey up onto his shoulders. He tried every which way that he could. He tried lifting that beast, and well, he finally got that beast on his shoulder. beast had all four legs up in the air and it was going, hee-yaw, hee-yaw, hee-yaw. It was not happy at all. And Jack was thinking to himself, well, I got the beast on my shoulder, but now what am I going to do if I take a step? It's going to fall off. But he did. He took one step and another and another. Now, what I haven't told you yet is that every day when Jack was going back and forth to work and home, he passed the palace where the king and the queen, the royal family, lived. Now, that palace, of course, was surrounded by a gate, by a fence, a wrought iron fence. And in that fence was a beautiful garden. And in that garden was a beautiful princess. But Jack didn't notice the princess. Jack noticed the garden, all the different shades of greens and yellows and reds and purples and blues. And Jack thought to himself, now if I ever make my fortune, I am going to make myself a garden just like this, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life taking care of it. Now, the king and queen, they had a problem. You see, it had been 10 years since their daughter, the princess, had laughed or even smiled. And they brought all sorts of advisors and astrologers and doctors in trying to figure out what they could do to make her laugh. And nobody seemed to know how to do that. So the king and the queen, they put out a proclamation. And they said that anyone who could make their daughter laugh would be able to get half of the kingdom and some of their animals to boot. Well, when that princess, watching Jack with that donkey on his shoulder, she burst out laughing so loud that the king and the queen came running out and they said to their guards, "Get that man and the beast with him." So the guards ran out of the gate. They helped Jack take that beast off his shoulder, put a rope around its neck, as was proper to do, and went into the garden. And the king said to Jack, Jack, I am a man of my word, and you were the only one who could get my daughter to laugh. I am going to keep my word." And his daughter butted in. She said to him, Jack, I have been watching you this whole time. I first saw that coin glittering off the sun as you played catch with it. And then I saw you as that milk was splishing and sploshing. I saw you as that butter was melting on your head. I saw you as that cat was scratching you up and you were pulling that meat. And that all warmed my heart, Jack. But when I saw you with that donkey on your shoulders, I could not contain myself any longer, Jack. Thank you, Jack. You've given me back my life. And the king said, well, Jack, there you go. My daughter said it all. You can have half the kingdom. Jack looked at the king. Half of the kingdom? I don't want half of the kingdom. That's way too much work. All I want is this garden right here, to be able to take care of it for the rest of my life. And for me and my mama to spend the rest of our life living in this palace. And so that's what happened. Jack and his mama, they moved into the palace. And Jack, he made that garden even more beautiful than it was. Brought in plants from all over the world, built waterfalls and pools and brought fish in. And it was so beautiful that people came from all over the world to look at it. And you know what? They never called him Lazy Jack again. And Jack and the princess, well, they became like brothers and sisters. And as far as I know, Jack and his mama were very happy living in that castle to this day.